Former Rangers midfielder Kevin Thompson is alongside me. Great to see you as always, Kev. And we're thrilled to be joined by a suitably VIP guest. It is none other than the club's 18th manager. Hello, Michael Beale.
How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, great to have you. Thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Obviously, we're on the back of some strong results recently and looking forward with optimism to a cup final in 2 weeks' time. So, sat here now, I'm in a really good place.
No grey hairs yet, Emma?
No grey, not yet.
It's the beard I'm worried about.
It's the before and after pictures of Stevie G that you see that you can tell exactly what this job involves. But are you enjoying being back? How is it living up to what you expected?
Yeah, two things. There's the football and then there's the personal side of it. The personal side, coming back into the club's been fantastic. A lot of friends and familiar faces that I'm working with, both on the playing side and the staff side. It's lovely to be back living in my little village out in the middle of nowhere, and the kids are back in school. And then in terms of the job and the football, it's gone well so far. There's been a lot that people haven't seen in between the games that come at you that you're unawares of, if you like. But listen, the responsibility and the opportunity together are both unique and wonderful at the same time.
You came back as well at a busy time. Obviously, it was the World Cup break, but you're straight into January. You're assessing what you've got in the squad, what might be changing. You know, what is that like to process as a manager coming in when it's such a busy but sort of full-on period?
Yeah, because it came out of the blue a little bit, the opportunity to come back, and then it moved very quickly in that World Cup break. You come in and you may be thinking that one or two players are closer to returning to fitness than what you think, and the injury situation wasn't ideal, and I think that's why the team maybe suffered in the first part of the season. So there's all things that come at you very, very quickly. Obviously, we were going into a January transfer window as well, so the club was moving in some one or two directions in that as well, so you have to quickly get up to speed and give your opinion on that. And the games come thick and fast. Obviously, we played Hibs at home and then went straight away to Aberdeen. So I think the first 6 or 7 games were live on TV, so you're straight into the mix of everything. But I think the thing that really helped me was knowing the staff. They knew me, and obviously knowing the players. So it was really just getting back to work to some of the old habits we had before. And slowly but surely, we're seeing that more and more now.
Mick, how have you... The responsibility that you had under Stephen obviously was massive. How have you found the responsibility now being the manager? The differences?
The media's the big part, I think, but you know, you're the spokesperson for the club and where we're going. Other people speak, but obviously you speak the most in a week, probably 3 or 4 times with the media, even more on 3 game weeks. In terms of my day-to-day around the training ground, I don't think I've changed much, to be fair, Tomo. I think obviously I was given a lot of responsibility by Stephen, and I've come in and been that person, really. Obviously, there's a lot of players in there that I was close to and mentoring before under the previous regime. So I don't think many of the players and staff will see much difference in me day to day.
Has that conversation had to change a wee bit? Are you picking the team? Have you had that chat on the door for a player or any situation that's arose that never really arose under Stephen?
Only that part of it, picking the team and being front and centre a little bit more. But like I said, Stephen was fantastic with his staff in terms of delegation and probably in my case the most delegation. So I think in terms of leading and speaking and taking meetings, the players were used to that. In terms of 1 or 2 conversations, it was interesting because although I was close to the senior players, we'd never been in that situation where I was talking to a Lundstrom, a Goldson or Arfield, a Davis, a Tavernier about what I wanted exactly from them. But they've been fantastic, and I think there was a lot of friendly faces that received me. So the energy and attitude from the players has been good. In terms of the standards and what I want, I think we're still trying to get up to speed with that.
What type of a manager are you? We know you were very hands-on, obviously, under Stephen on the training field. Are you still like that? Are you still as hands-on, or do you allow your team to take some of that as well?
Well, there's my opinion on that and my staff's opinion. It might be 2 different things. I think the way that we work, each member of staff looks after 5 or 6 players, so I allow them to go off every day and have their meetings and their workshops, and you know, so Neil brings in a lot of experience in terms of working with Arsene Wenger. He looks after defenders. Damien was a former midfielder. He looks after midfielders. I control the forwards and the whole team, and then young Harry does the set plays, but he's also the go-between between the academy and the first team. So everybody's off doing their own little bits. I would say that I'm still the lead coach on the pitch, but all 4 of us work together. It is a team. I think I had that as my ideas anyway, but I had a great mentorship with Stephen, and he was that way. What he delegated to me brought me on, it brought Gary on, the rest of the staff. I thought it also gave him oxygen, and at times you need that. You
were obviously here for a lengthy period of time with Stephen. Did you always feel you had unfinished business here? Did you ever, in your sort of wildest career ambitions, anticipate coming back here to Rangers as the manager one day?
Yeah, but I thought it would be a long way down the road. I didn't for 1 minute think it would be so soon. Probably 20, 21 games into management. So this season has been a whirlwind for me, really. Taking my first job at QPR, there was a bit of a saga before that with some other interest, and I thought then I'd be at QPR for the foreseeable future, and then the Rangers job come out of nowhere. It was a job that I wouldn't turn down because my affinity to the club, this group of players as well, and this group of staff. I think if it's an opportunity that anybody is given that certainly follows the club, you're never going to turn it around. It's not about finance. The finances were obviously slightly bigger elsewhere. It's about the project and your belief in it and the people. And so it was great to come back. I had a few difficult days. Yeah. You guys work in the media, so you saw it more than me because I tried to close off from it. But as I say, you can only be honest at the time that you speak, and when the opportunity to come back to Rangers on a personal level, it was an unbelievable opportunity.
And like you said, you know a number of the players in the squad. When you came in and sort of assessed what was in front of you, what was your approach? Was it trying to fix some things in the short term, and then obviously have your longer term aims as well here as manager?
I tried to go with familiarity in terms of getting some consistency in the starting lineup. That was difficult initially because we had some players injured, some key players, and then we had players dealing with things. And when I spoke about that outwards, I wasn't trying to make excuses for players. I was just trying to level the playing field a little bit in terms of actually what was happening. So what I've tried to do is go with familiarity in terms of ideas, in terms of players. And I think come the summer, you'll see slight changes that I'm looking forward to implementing. I just got to get the timing right. I think at this moment in time, familiarity is really important because it gives the boys clarity. And if you can give them that, then they've got a peace of mind to go and play. And that's led to us getting good results. Performance level we'll keep pushing for, but I think
that you would probably want to implement straight away. Like, what was one of the biggest changes you wanted to change as soon as you walked in the building?
Consistency.
Being disrespectful to you,
no. Consistency and selection, I think, for any coach is really important. Gio wasn't afforded that, unfortunately, because of the injuries. I wasn't in the first week. It's easy looking from outside. You think, well, if I change this and that, and then you get in the building and you've got no centre backs and
young 2 midfielders at centre half, wasn't it?
Young Leon King goes sick on the day of that game, and you're talking to John Lundstrom at 4 o'clock to say we've worked all week. You're going to have to go centre back, and people think, well, he's worked 3 weeks here, and to get through that game, what I've learned is to take a deep breath and stay positive. I think when the window opened, it's very easy. Like if you concentrate on your players and you're not worried about any promises that are made or any sort of speculation in the media, you concentrate on your players, you'll get the best out of them. As soon as you start veering towards, players coming in or adding to the squad, you can take your eyes off the ball with the boys in front of you. So what I've tried to do is, even in those moments, take a deep breath. Tactically, I wanted to change 1 or 2 things, and that's just down to my preference and what I thought this group knows and almost got like a comfort blanket to. When I was here under Stephen, I think we lost one of the last 52 games in the league, so I knew that I could go back to something defensively that was stable, even if we didn't have centre-backs. I knew that they trusted the system because I'd spent a lot of time trying to implement that with them. And then it was looking at 1 or 2 players and thinking, what have you got left as a Rangers player? Because I was here when you arrived and you had a certain look in your eye. What is that now? And I was unsure what those answers were going to be, to be fair, Tomo, because I hadn't just dismissed the players when I wasn't here, but I hadn't been texting them or been close to any of them. You'd let players breathe, don't you? You let them get on with the new management. And I was a big supporter of Gio and his staff. I remember watching the game v PSV and being so proud of them qualifying for the Champions League, and in that moment, I'd been probably 4 or 5 games into my QPR journey, and I couldn't envisage being back here, 15 games later. The game moves so quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, what did you make of it getting into the Champions League? And obviously what unfolded after that was before your time here as manager, but I think it was a big learning curve, certainly, wasn't it, for many of the players?
Yeah, listen, the last 2 managers did incredible. One did a huge rebuild that I was very fortunate to be alongside, in that it took a lot of strong will and vision from Stephen and his staff, certainly to go a season unbeaten, but to get the club what they wanted and back to winning the league. Gio took it on and won a Scottish Cup and he was nearly immortal, getting to Europa League final and winning it. What a journey. And then he qualified us for the Champions League. So the last 2 managers have set a bar that's really high. I think what naturally happens after such big moments is there's a change in sort of maybe mindset of 1 or 2 players. Obviously some move on. Some people achieve something that's so big that then coming back, it's just the goalposts have moved in terms of motivation and future, I think. So I arrive in the club at a time of a very successful changing room, if you look at the last 18 months, that probably just for whatever reason needed a bit of a re-kick. And when I looked at them qualifying for the Champions League, I was so proud of them, because PSV are a very good side. They had players in that team that we'd tried to recruit previously that were good players. And then the first result here wasn't ideal, to go across to PSV and have to get the win. And so I thought it was a wonderful achievement. The beauty of getting to the Champions League and waiting so many years to get there is you get the prize of Napoli, Liverpool and Ajax. I think it was a prize, and I think we should have seen it as all that hard work to get back to the Champions League. This is amazing for our fans. They're going to go to Napoli, they're going to go to Ajax, they're going to go down to Anfield, and we're going to see what the level is. And we know it's going to be tough, but we're going to take it on head on. I thought during the 6 games we played some good football that people will lose in terms of the results. There was moments in the game, certainly here at Ibrox in 1 or 2, where we were in good positions and maybe didn't take opportunities. But the story of the first half or the first 2/3 of the season for me was purely that key players are injured. And the key players on the Europa League run that were almost the glue between the management and the players on the pitch under both Stephen and Gio weren't available. And so therefore that was almost a new team playing together in the Champions League. And at that level, the game's ruthless.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, yeah, I mean, a big learning curve for a lot of them. But do you feel there was a recovery for the players thereafter? Gio, for one, spoke about how it had affected some of the players mentally and almost put a little bit of fear into them. Did you feel you had to then pick them up from that when you came in?
Yeah, there's some anxiety that comes from it, and a confidence level. We built ourselves up over probably 3 or 4 seasons in the Europa League, beating some really fantastic teams, and as I say, the Portos, the games we had with Benfica, we had Feyenoord here. As I say, the boys went on, beat Dortmund, Leipzig, and were so close in the final, then PSV. So we built up a real confidence plan at that level. And obviously the bubble burst a little bit in the first game, probably. Ajax were very ruthless in that game. And then the pressure's on. You've got to play Liverpool at Anfield, and you've got to obviously play Napoli home and away, and it's difficult. I think when I came in, the group was hurting. I think anyone that thinks that players don't hurt, these are young men, but every year that goes, it's a year less they've got in their career to win or to achieve. I came in and there was a lot of pain that Gio had left. Everyone knows he's a man of real class and had done a good job, and for whatever reason, it had just tailed away quite quickly. So you're trying to give them a real clear vision and clarity on the way we're going to play, how we're going to go about it, the standards. At the same time, you're very careful not to talk against anything that happened when you wasn't here, because you wasn't here. All you can do is implement your ideas now and see how it goes. And listen, it's been up and down, around the corners. We had some good performances. We played well in moments. In other moments, we've shown anxiety. But what I will always throw at this group is their mentality. They've got the results, and we're very unlucky. We're probably 5 minutes away from having perfect results.
Yeah.
The most important thing moving forward for you, what do you want the team to look like? I know you want them to win, but what do you want it to look like, and what would success be for you moving forward?
I think if there was a big billboard outside of Ibrox and you're saying, right, what does this current squad look like? Who's on our billboard? So who's this Rangers team? And you put them up. You can only play the way those players allow you to play. So I think our team's always going to be a team that's got to have a lot of relationships on the pitch. It's got to have a lot of combination play. You've got to give them some freedom. So when I think of this team, if I'm saying now that you have Ryan Kent, you have Raskin, you have Tom Lawrence, you have Todd Cantwell, you have whoever you want to put on this billboard of that's the Rangers in terms of going to be the next 4 or 5 years, how are they going to play? What's the best way to get the best out of them? There's got to be a big feeling and the relationships on the pitch. So a lot of combination play, playing close together. I like us to play vertical a little bit more. And I don't mean being direct. I just think when we played Hearts, you saw it for what I want it to be. I want us to have an element of surprise, and I want lots of competition in the squad. And I think we're not able to go and spend a lot of money, so we have to spend our money cleverly, and then we have to have a real feeling in the changing room and the training ground. For me, to play 60 games plus, which we have to play every year, we need 2 for every position, and we need 3 in the number 9 position. So where do you get that competition? In our squad at the moment, we have that competition in the front 6 positions, and probably not so much in the back end due to injuries. So I certainly would like us to run forward and break lines more. You know, if I was looking at football at the moment and the best teams, I think that they certainly haven't worked in the Premier League. The speed is something that catches you out, and I think maybe in the Champions League we saw that firsthand as well. So there's a view to the way it wants to go. The billboard thing I think is interesting because they're like in our Rangers movie, if you like, of the season, they are the actors, the players that we got. So you have to find a recipe for them. So you're always, as a manager, your ideas, the club that you work for, and the players, and you just have to blend the 3 as much as you can. I've seen it in moments. I thought in the game here against Celtic in the second half, we saw it as well, and we saw it for Hearts for a whole 90 minutes.
Is it easier said than done, though, in Scottish football to have that philosophy when you are playing against teams that are very much camped in? It's, like you say, European football is perhaps better suited to that style of play, so it's then about trying to find ways to win around what's actually in front of you, which is pretty often quite close to the opposition goal.
Yeah, listen, it's hard to win the game with 70% possession. It's hard to be. That's the hardest thing. Teams who spend hundreds of millions on players find that difficult. The 2 games I just mentioned there were games where we had less possession, which meant we invited the other team to play more, which gave us more spaces. And you're always looking for that connection and balance. And so for me, it's more about can I help the players get the ball to certain areas in the pitch and then allowing these players their relationships to create chances. I don't think you can direct people in the final third. You can encourage, and what you can do is you can put Alfredo with Fashion and Ryan Kent together a lot. Now, why have those 3 in particular been quite successful recently? Well, they knew each other the most. And then when Kamar comes on in the semi-final and Scott Wright, they know each other the most. So actually it's just knowing people and knowing who's lived together the most, who knows these ideas, who's probably the ones that are just going to get there through habits rather than instruction. Over time, that doesn't mean you don't integrate young players, or now we've signed Nico and Todd, they don't play. You just know that they're going to need a little bit of time to settle in. And I think both those players actually have started quite well for the club.
Yeah, a lot's been said, sorry, Kev, about their signings and the identity of what you're trying to do here at Rangers. Is that accurate? Is that the model of the type of player you're trying to bring here? Talented players who you feel have got another gear to go up in?
Yeah, I think we have to look for opportunities early. So if a player's young, we need to get there early, because if they start doing well, then we get outbidded by the teams in the big leagues. So we have to maybe understand that we're not buying the finished product, and he's not going to have everything you want him to have. Or you're going to find a player that's maybe at a moment in his career where he's lost a little bit direction, or the situation he's in is not ideal, and he needs a change. So we're always blending that. I've not been able to work with young Ridvan yet, who's 21. Nico comes in 21. Malik's a star player now at 20. Todd Cantwell comes in at 24. All of a sudden, the team's looking a little bit younger and it's got a little bit more legs. And when I came in, I think the very first interview I did, I said I didn't think it was as broken as other people thought. I think if it would have been as broken as some people were making out, then no one would want to come to Rangers, and we know that's not true. So I think what we're trying to do slowly is show the strength in the squad again. It's important when players get opportunity that they don't waste the opportunity, and probably that goes back on the individual, but it is a team game, so it's important that every time we play we respect the challenge in front of us and we do each other justice. And so I've probably just gave you my half-time or post-match from yesterday's game against PARTTWO.